system in place to keep us in chains. By show of hands, who else is sick and tired of the same? 1% trying to keep us small, trying to keep us from getting out. Minimizing the struggles they've caused, saying we're not working hard enough. Day after day, we're just working it all away. They keep poking the bear, and they're bound to get made. So I'll raise my glass for the hard-working class. Keep your fires burning hot. We can't retire.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the thousands in attendance and for the millions watching at home, DCK Productions proudly brings to you the greatest podcast in the world! The greatest podcast in the world? Suck it. No, you suck it. No, you suck it. No, you suck it. No, you suck it. I appreciate it if you both suck it. Suck it!
We really should stop this fighting. Otherwise, we'll miss the fireworks.
There won't be any fireworks.
And here we go. And welcome, everybody, to Suck It! I am the great and powerful King of Kings, Prince of all that is awesome. Derek, how is everybody tonight on this Wednesday hump day, the day after that fucking abysmal performance by both candidates yesterday? We're not going to talk about it, but I just felt like, mentioning that I thought it was just horrible across the board, but that's my opinion. But I'm not going to talk about it tonight. I promised I wouldn't. We talked, when I was talking to Aaron Sanchez last night from ABC News, we talked enough about politics this week. I'm not doing it until, I don't know, maybe another week or two. I don't even want to think about it. But so tonight, we're going to have some fun. We're going to laugh a little, talk some tech, talk some business, talk some, my favorite subject, retail. We're going to talk a little bit about everything today because my guest today is a former finance guy and now the CEO of Luxie Beauty, an all-vegan alternative makeup brush line. Really, really cool stuff. But, he's not just a makeup guy. He's a little bit of everything. So we're going to have a lot of fun talking tonight. So, without any further ado, please welcome to the show, Mr. Conor Riley. Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Can you hear me okay? We're good?
Yeah, we're fine. We're good.
Awesome.
So how's everything with you, man?
Well, I'm trying to grow out my Derek beard. It's not quite coming in as fabulous as yours, but it's on the way there. The hardest part was getting the gray highlights on the chinny chin there, but
the gray highlights are just like the epitome of like hipster douchebag dad. You know what I'm saying? It's just like that's where it needs to be.
Yeah, that's what I was going for. That kind of hipster.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's what I sport. I'm proudly a supporter of the gray beard highlights. Let's do it.
Exactly. I'm one pumpkin spice latte away from just going like full on douchebag mode. But
see, I don't do the pumpkin spice latte, but I do the gray sweatpants this time of year.
There you go. Casual, keep it casual, keep it comfortable. That's what it's all about.
I mean, I'm in Virginia. It's 50 degrees out right now. I gotta, I don't want to be wearing jeans. I want to be comfortable.
50 degrees.
It's so beautiful.
That's not, well, I'm in California, so it's the weather today was smoke. So the weather tomorrow will be more smoke.
More smoke,
yeah. It's about 88 degrees, at least in the Bay Area. So.
Yeah, and that's what I find, fantastic about my job. I sit over here on the East Coast, right outside of DC, and I have that shit to deal with. But everybody, about 90% of the people I talk to, celebrities, business people, whatever, all come out of this one little area of California, and they all say the same thing. It's hot, it's smoky.
Yeah.
So I'm reveling in the fact that I don't have to deal with that.
Yeah.
I dealt with it for 25 years when I lived in Florida, and I don't want any part of it anymore.
Oh, that's brutal. But Virginia, you have all the crazy circadias and insects and hurricanes, right? I mean,
we get the occasional hurricane, but where I live at, it's like right in the middle of a mountain valley. So the mountain eats it up. So we get a shit ton of rain, but we don't get a lot of wind or anything like that unless it comes up the other way. But then by the time it comes up the other way, hits go through Tennessee and Georgia and, around us, then it's, tropical depression, again, more rain. So, we don't get much of that, thankfully, but we just get a lot of rain.
Wow. Well, rain is sort of one of those mysterious phenomenons that people talk about out here in California, but you never actually see. So we're hoping we might get some this winter. I don't know.
At this point, it's a mythological creature that you can only, think about and read about in books.
Exactly. It's like rain and unicorns. They're just things you tell the children to keep them happy at night.
Yeah, but then you drive a few hours north and get the Big Bear, then there's snow everywhere, and it's like the complete polar opposite of everything in LA.
That's true. Now, LA, I think, so in San Francisco Bay Area, we're like a toned down version of LA. We got the beach, water's cold, but okay. You got the mountains, snow's nice, it's not too crazy ever. And then there's a whole lot of nothing in between. But LA is just that sort of cranked up version where the beach is a whole thing, the mountains are a whole thing, and I don't know. It's a different ecosystem.
Yeah, I got friends in LA, Palm Springs, and it's just like 110 degree weather. It's like, nope, you all can keep that.
Yeah. I like to go into a sauna, willfully. I don't like having a sauna forced upon me by.
I feel you on that. I feel you on that. So, other than that, how's everything else going for you, man? You got some good stuff going on. Luxie is taking off. So how's everything going on your end?
Yeah, well, Luxie's huge. We've got, so many interesting things going on there. We've got obviously, how do you grow a business during the Corona times and the whole COVID situation, which is just out of control. We've got working with influencers in this new marketplace because everyone's moving out of retail and into digital commerce. So you have to deal with all the wacky influencer stuff and Instagram folks and YouTube folks and TikTokers and all that. Then we have, how do we support our Instagram or our own customers, our own community? That's a pretty critical thing that we're working on. And then, I think lastly, it's like, well, what are we doing to leverage our platform and kind of speak out against some of the stuff that we see going on that we're not fans of? So it's been a pretty busy time for us.
Yeah, especially during this digital, the digital age, but then, the digital age mixed with, the coronavirus and, everyone being at home. Now everyone thinks they're an influencer.
Right.
Now everyone wants to try to make that business happen. And, not everybody has that capability. Not everybody knows that, yeah, you can plug a product all day long, but is that hashtag right? Did you do a post with multiple pictures or just one? Did you post a video? Was it an Instagram, over a minute long where you can post a link inside? There's a lot of different things that a lot of people just don't realize it. And it's so critical to understand that aspect of things.
Yeah, well, and even the biggest influencers themselves don't necessarily understand how the market shifted because everybody is sitting at home. Everybody's just devouring content. So the content output that used to keep you relevant, pre-COVID, now is kind of going by the wayside as people just want to churn through stuff. Plus, it's an interesting industry because beauty is constantly innovating, but depending on the creators that you follow and whatnot, it can become sort of feeling redundant. And then now everybody's wearing these big old masks that cover their face. So that's changed how looks have evolved. That's changed where people are putting their attention. So it's been like a kind of an interesting ride because, we find that we have to be kind of like the referee in all of this. So we have to go to the people that might be, like you mentioned, trying to start out on their own, trying to sort of assume the role of an influencer. And, who knows, maybe it's just their sort of COVID hobby to, get the phone out and start recording. But we want to support them. We want them to innovate. We want them to have the ability to share some content with us, use their content, pick their brain to find what's cool, include them in our community. And then at the same time, we need to go to the bigger, more established influencers and help them try to give them some tips and tricks, try to make some suggestions to get them, cooking up some relevant products or relevant content that we think is interesting. And that's how we do it. We do it with products. So we're always innovating. We're always coming out with specials. We're always trying to figure out ways to reduce our packaging or increase increase certain designs that can be used for eye looks, for face looks, for whatever people are into. So it's interesting navigating the influencer world, because you're like, on the one hand, you want to, as a brand, you want to kind of give as much creative control to all these different groups. And now there's so many, everyone's on Zoom every day. Like, I can't imagine a time when more people have been on camera as just part of like their regular life. And now I was trying to renew a phone bill. The guy put me on Zoom. I'm like, yo, this is just office like supply stuff. I don't have to be camera ready for this. But that's the level of frequency that people are finding themselves exposed to the camera, which has been interesting because it's sort of given people that reality check where now they're like, okay, what can I do to improve my beauty routine? What can I do to improve my skincare routine? Let me go that extra mile and maybe do a few things to make myself feel better in the morning. The perfect thing with your cup of coffee is looking at makeup, and that's a great way to start your day. So it's been interesting as more and more kind of components are kind of coming to the forefront and finding themselves in this marketing place, and that's what we have to sort out and guide and direct. So it's kind of been a handful.
Yeah, I mean, I consider myself a retail guru. And the reason why I say that is because I spent nearly 20 years, managing retail establishments, and have seen innovation after innovation after innovation and after innovation. And I learned two things in that 20 years. Number one, I hate retail. And number two, it's gonna, what is popular today is not going to be popular tomorrow. Yeah. With the invention of Amazon and, Amazon Prime, and now Walmart coming out with their own, version of Amazon Prime, and, delivery from, Target to your house, or, Albertsons, or, Safeway or whatever to your house, is innovating beyond everything that we've ever dealt with before. Last year, online retail, and that included grocery and retail, of non-Amazon, so everybody that was big box, was nearly 10% of all retail sales. Everything that was done online, so that would either be pick up today or shopping online, then you just go up and pick it up, or whatever the case might be, was 10% of the sales for big box. Now it's nearly, in 9 months, it's doubled to 20%.
Wow.
And that number is going to get even more and more staggering. Walmart's out there right now testing a robot that actually picks groceries off the shelf and delivers it to their car. There's so much innovation right now. So with that being said, how are you guys going to make sure that you guys stay up with the times?
Well, apparently we got to start designing some robots. I mean, I think correctly, we gotta get those robots in store. But it's really interesting. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Like, retail is always changing, and I think that what we have to do is continually innovate and drive our products forward. We have to look at things that are in the market and kind of take our own sort of, just figure out what we can do, what makes sense for us. So like an example of that, and where we're looking at potentially disrupting an industry, is the cotton ear cleaners.
Yes.
I think Q-tip is I think that's the brand name. I don't know if that's really what it is. Anyway, the whole idea is, like, you think about how many people are using those Q-tips every single day and just throwing that away. and how that just fills up. I mean, all the millions of people in the world doing that. So we were thinking, well, what would be fantastic is having a brush that's a dual-ended brush that allows you to clean the outside and inside of your ear and totally disrupt an industry. And maybe that's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing. We're reviewing it with doctors and people that are talking about, what can you stick in your ear or not, because obviously we want to create a safe product. But like, that's the kind of innovation that we're looking at every day, because I'm moving around here. Sorry, my back is about to go out, but
that's fine.
Yeah, totally. So it's like, that's the kind of stuff though that you have to look at to figure out. And I think we take a pretty comprehensive approach. So we've got skincare brushes, we've got spa brushes, we've got all of these things that we've developed that we haven't put to market yet. We're looking at incorporating other products that are sort of related to brushes that we've developed an expertise in, because we're like applicator masters, like tinted moisturizer and other things that you would apply with a brush. And that kind of keeps the innovation moving forward. And it's a grind. It's a grind. So why do you hate retail? Let's dive into that for a second. You're working in retail for 20 plus years and you come away with it and you're just like, I hate it. What happened?
Well, I do have a love for it still. I mean, but I have a love-hate relationship with it. Okay. As someone who is an influencer, because I mean, I actually am, and someone who, still has to deal with the retail industry on a daily basis for sponsors and products that I promote, whatever else the case might be. I still have this love of it because I love, the whole concept of, building something and then watching it fly off the shelf, or, putting an ad out for something and then watching it be sold out, or whatever the case might be. But the politics behind it. And I'm talking about the actual inside the store, the big box.
Okay.
Yes. If I owned my own company, it'd be completely different. But the actual big box mentality, whether it be the grocery store I just left last year, or before that, the world's largest retailer, I'm not going to say the name, but everybody knows who that is. After leaving them for, nearly 13 years of being a store manager for that company, it was a constant grind. That company or every other company can say, we care about family, we care about this, we care about that, but it doesn't seem like they do. And it's all about the dollar. It's all about whatever they think is best, not what you think is best. They don't care about, they want to say, oh, they're store of the communities and, fill your shelves and fill your end caps with products that is going to sell inside your, your community. But then they come in and say, oh, that's stupid. Don't put that there. Oh, that's stupid. Don't put that. Well, I know my customer. I don't care if you know your customer. I don't like that. And it's just like, well, what the hell's the point of me even being here? If you're going to constantly come into my store as a district manager and then tell me what to do, why am I the store manager? Why are you paying me $120,000 a year to run a store that you're just going to come in and completely disrupt every time? And that's what made me hate the business, because it wasn't about the community anymore. It was all about the bottom line.
Yeah, I think we see that struggle play out more like as bystanders to it, because our big thing, and you know this, is you have a brand that has a product and then they roll it out in your store, and the first thing that they're going to ask is merchandising. How are you going to merchandise it? How are you going to make it look appealing to the people that are coming in the store? So we might work that out with the buyer at the corporate level. By the time that gets trickled down through to the regional people, it's like this wild game of telephone, and it rarely looks like what we discussed.
Exactly.
Now, the people on the front lines, on the front facing, that are working directly with the consumers, those are like, we almost consider those like our brand ambassadors, because there's such a key. Those are the key people. Those are the people that are actually gonna have that interaction. So we find ourselves sort of trying to deal with it, sort of like an inverted camel with like this dip in the middle, where we're like, okay, the buyers at corporate love this. They have a great idea. The people that are working with our product in store are loving this. But it seems like sometimes there's this gap in the middle. And we actually went into a store, a smaller regional chain store in the Midwest, and they really didn't support our product. We offered to go out, educate the troops on the ground, and give them gifts, give them product. Within the beauty space, it's such an intimate thing that you're like, look, let's give you products, and then you can say, I like this makeup brush. Why do you like it? Because I use it every day. That's so powerful. But they were like, they're hemming and hawing. We never got in front of the people on the ground, and then they never were able to execute against their plan. And we, no hard feelings there. I mean, we'd be happy to take another whack at it with them, putting more, some more resources in that education part. But it really was like, man, how do you have people on the ground floor that are ready to move on this, on the top floor ready to move on this, and it kind of all gets lost in the middle. And I think that's the politics. Somebody in middle management saying, well, I think this merchandising space is too big and we should move this here, and then this is part of this plan. I don't know what goes in. That's like behind the curtain kind of thing.
And that's the thing, speaking from experience, at the last company I was with, all these, planograms and, weekly, planners for the end caps, whatever would come down, and the corporate would say, you have to do this. And then our regional manager comes in and says, oh, you know what? That's stupid. We're not doing that. And then you got somebody walking in the next day from corporate. Why isn't this done? Oh, well, my boss told me not to do that. Oh, well, I'll talk to her, but go ahead and get this done. And then she comes in without having that conversation. Why isn't this done? I told you not to do that. And it's just this constant thing. At the last company I had, there was, they sent out wine planograms every month. And the way the corporate build them was a certain way. But our regional manager was like, I don't like the way those are built. They just don't look good to me. So nobody ever follow corporate when it comes to the wine. We're going to handle wine here regionally. So I don't care what they say. And it's the most oxymoronic crap I've ever heard in my life. And that's what happened literally everywhere from where I was just at before to, the world's largest retailer. And that's the thing, because there's people in all these different hands, whether it's in Cincinnati, at the second largest retailer company, or in, Bentonville, Arkansas, at the world's largest, making these things and then going down to the, the regional or the district level and just be like, yeah, we're not doing that. But we want you to believe that we want the corporate to believe that we're going to do that. So don't say anything.
Right. That's not. Have you ever been to Bentonville?
I have.
It is a crazy place.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy place. So, for people that can we name names here?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. So Walmart located in Bentonville, as well as JB Hunt, the logistics provider, as well as Tyson Chicken, and it's kind of a crazy place because it's the center for so many core industries that still happen to be family owned.
Yep.
And the town square of Bentonville is basically one giant Walmart. And that sounds crazy, but it's actually has the original Five and Dime, Sam Walton's Five and Dime, with his pickup truck parked in front. It's right out of what's that? They're fishing, walking down the street, right out of it's right out of a show from the 50s.
You mean like Andy Griffith or Leave It to
right
Beaver? Yeah.
Like you expect to see, that kind of hometown thing. Now, the reality is that if you didn't know that Walmart was based there, you never really would, because from the town square, you just see this Five and Dime, you see a brand new hotel, you see all this other stuff. There's a Chinese food restaurant, a Mexican restaurant, a couple different things. Seems like it's got sort of that hometown variety. You go in there. Now, here's the thing about Walmart employees. They never can take their badge off when they're working. So you go into like a Mexican restaurant and grab a meal. I was blown away. I'm ordering food at this restaurant that I thought was kind of this hoity-toity Mexican place. And then I see the little Walmart thing swing out from the guy's vest. And it's like, oh my God, are we in a Walmart right now? Like, what is going on? The other thing I heard, and I have no idea if this is true or not, so this is just made up, but I think it's for realsies. They record everything in all the open spaces because the whole town is where everybody that comes to sell stuff in a Walmart goes so that they can pitch corporate. And so they record in all the common areas. So if they're talking about pricing or whatever, that'll get communicated to your buyer before you cut a deal. So I've heard stories where people will sell something, shake hands, leave, and then make that comment of like, oh, well, did you hear that you can get, we would have gone 2 cents lower or whatever. And then they, and then they get that email like, hey, we've revised the price. So
I've heard that. I don't know if it's true either, but I have heard that.
Yeah, it's great.
Because Walmart owns that town.
Yeah, whole thing.
Just like Kroger owns Cincinnati.
No way. Is that true?
Oh, my God. Yeah, because Kroger's the second largest retailer in the world.
No way. Kroger?
Yep. Kroger. Because not the actual brand of Kroger, but the Kroger corporate. Because Kroger corporate owns like 50 different retailers that just operate under their old banner. So what they'll do is they'll buy up regional chains, let them run, continue to run the way they want to run with their name, but now they're just owned by, Kroger with their Kroger checks.
Wow.
Like Ralph's.
Yeah.
Ralph's is owned by Kroger.
That's interesting.
Yep.
That's really interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that you would never think that was owned by a Kroger that is.
Yeah, I believe it. I mean, it's interesting when you start looking at the complexities of these retail models. I mean, the Krogers and the Walmarts of the world, and I assume the other big boxes, I mean, they're doing pretty good. Like, I think that they're doing pretty well. They've been able to stay open during the coronavirus. But in our side of retail, we're dealing with a lot of like the Neiman Marcuses, the Macy's, the Nordstrom. You really see some differences, like some of these. So you've seen a lot of restructuring. I mean, Kenneth Cole went bankrupt. Neiman Marcus went bankrupt. Bergdorf's went bankrupt, and for us, it's like, oh my gosh, these are people that we're working with intimately, and to see this disruption and just the downsizing. Some of these stores have had 85% downsizing, or furloughs or whatever you want to call it, to contend and stay open. And now we're hearing that a lot of doors are going to be shuttered and they may not even reopen. And that's kind of scary, when you think about it. Like, I think for brands, and I know that this might sound kind of dated. I'm actually wondering what your opinion is, but like, retail is such a great place for your products to be discovered.
It really is. I mean, especially in, shippers and stuff like that. Yep. When, if you have a good, manager at a good box store, doesn't matter if it's big box, little box, whatever, and they're smart and they know that, hey, I'm going to put this shipper here because it makes sense to go with this product, and there's so many other different things to, do, if you don't have, like, for example, let's say, for instance, I got a shipper of, of your product and, of just brushes and makeup brushes. Okay. Well, I don't have any room on my makeup wall because, I don't have an end cap. I don't have a wing or anything like that I can put it next to. I'm not just going to put it in the middle of the aisle. Right. Okay. So, but wait a second. Over here next to the makeup remover, next to the makeup pads, I do have this end cap. Oh, might as well just go ahead and put that there, which is adjacent to the makeup. But at the same time, it's like, where else could I put it? And, another thing would be like, if you got a shipper of like Pedialyte, for example, don't put it down the baby aisle. Go put it by the wine section. Yeah. Put it by wine or beer. There's lots of different things that, a lot of people just don't realize. And if you're putting it in places where it matches, it's it'll blow out.
Now, okay, so here's a question that people always ask me in retail, and I don't really know it, so I have to just sort of mumble under my breath. But there's always, particularly with food, there's always like slotting fees and other kind of marketing fees associated with where you're placed in the store. And a lot of brands that get these deals to be in these stores, first of all, they're over the moon until they see what those slotting fees are. So, like, I mean, you're paying for placement. How worthwhile is that? And are there ways around that?
Is there ways around it? Yeah. But it involves a lot of guarantees. So, like, one of the things that I know Walmart and I know a few other places do is paper scan. So, you will send a product in, they'll place it, and they only get paid if it moves. And then that's kind of a way to, take the idea off of them, kind of make it to where, again, if it only sells, and they need to sell it because otherwise you're taking it back. It's a guaranteed sale.
Yeah.
That's when those kind of things can happen. But at the same time, if, say for instance, you went to Kroger and said, hey, I'm with General Mills. I'm going to go ahead and pay you $50,000 for 500 end caps for the next year.
Yeah.
Over the course of the year, that really comes down. But then at the same time, then you got to send the product into the shelves and so on and so forth. And then that's kind of where the markup comes into play, because that's why, we're selling it for $4.99. We're buying it in at $3.99. So they're making back their money, and now they have guaranteed placement, and now we have to buy more because we're going to put it on sale and probably make pennies on the dollar now.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. So does it work out for everybody? Yeah, because in the end, they make back their money. Even though we're making pennies on the dollar, we still got paid $50,000 for 500 end caps and so on and so forth. Yeah.
That's interesting. That's an interesting way to look at it. It's retail too. I mean, people talk about retail like it's one thing. It's really so different. I mean, food and beverage, fashion, beauty, makeup tools. I mean, we're lucky in a way because we're in our own category. So we don't have to worry about spoilage. We don't have to worry about sizes. We don't have to worry about a lot of these different things. Our brushes are obviously not temperature dependent. So as long as we keep it kind of in our we do keep it in a temperature controlled facility for storage reasons, but that's more for the people that are fulfilling and whatnot. It's really, it makes it, I think, a little easier path than some of these other groups that are like, I can't imagine what it would be like to sell food. Like, imagine if you were trying to sell something that goes bad in 9 months or 6 months and just having to crank through that inventory.
It's bad. I mean, it gets crazy. I mean, especially when the buyer goes on a buying spree and thinks this is the next fucking sliced bread, and we're gonna send everybody 100 fucking cases of it, and they can't even sell one. And then you try to send it back to corporate saying this didn't sell. It doesn't matter. It's in your building. You own it. Figure it out.
So what's like? Are you into trying new products? Like, have you tried a bunch of different food products or beverage products, or like what part of retail is really your expertise that you play around?
The sales side. So I mean, I'm the sales and finance guy. Okay. As far as that goes, which is completely, not in even the realm of what I do anymore. I mean, I do sell, because obviously I do influence and I do, products and obviously ads and stuff like that for the show, and on my Instagram. But the sales and the finance, for example, the last store that I took over before I left the company, I was there for almost 2 years. And when I got there, that store was probably, I think it turned a reverse profit of about $100,000, so negative $100,000. It lost money that year.
I love that terminology, reverse profit.
Yeah,
I've not heard that. I love that, reverse profit.
Yes, so it lost money that year, but then I turned it around and made nearly $500,000 in profit the following year. Then on top of that, it was bad on auditing and bad on wages and all this other stuff, and I turned all that around. And I mean, that's just my thing. I can sit there and look at a computer screen all day long, then print out my sales, and I can actually walk my sales per category, per department, and actually see why I had a certain amount of sales that were up or down versus the previous day, based on how many outs I had, based on how full or empty an end cap is, whatever the case, how much is in my back room versus how much is on the floor, so on and so forth. I could figure that out just by looking at numbers, and I could literally, without even walking the store, tell you exactly what's wrong in your department, and then say, when they say prove it, you haven't even looked at my department yet, go walk and say that, and they're like, damn. And it was second nature to me.
Yeah, I think that's such a cool thing about finance, and about, for people that are talking about getting into business or how to get ahead, or even just kind of how to fine tune their spidey sense into really understanding the dynamics in any given business. I think finance is such a great place to start, because, coming from finance myself, it certainly helped me on the deal side, but it's also helped me understand the importance of it. And I think one of the biggest reasons why we've been able to sort of springboard Luxie into this growth phase is because we really focus on finance and controls. So everything is just down to the last penny, and that's, you know, I was actually kind of resistant to it at first because there's sort of this draconian feel of like, oh my gosh, everything is being counted. But you realize everything is being counted anyway. And the more clarity you have on what's moving and why, the better off you are. And so that's really amazing. So I don't know. Would you give that advice? Do you think people need to sort of, because I feel like no one understands finance.
I agree with you on that. However, when it comes to the retail world, study retail finance, because there's a big difference between being an accountant financing, being in banking financing, and being in retail financing and money. So the only way that you can really learn retail math, and that's an actual term, is by being in the retail world. If you want to graduate high school and say, I legitimately love working retail, do not go to college. Get your ass in a Walmart, get your ass in a Target, or not Target because Target requires a degree, which I think is the dumbest thing ever. But anyway, besides the point.
Really? Huh.
Oh my God, yes. They will not even consider you for not even an hourly level management position without a college degree.
That's interesting.
It's insane is what it is.
Wow.
Especially for someone like me who's ran $100 million Walmarts to where they won't even give me an interview. Now, granted, I don't want an interview, but they wouldn't even give me the time of day. Wow.
Well, and Target's interesting because they've just massively pivoted around. They used to rotate people through all their departments, and so no one had any departmental expertise, which didn't matter so much. But when they brought in beauty, that was the big bone to pick, because you have a guy that was selling tires in the auto parts section who's now trying to sell, L'Oreal, and beauty is such a specialized skill. So I'm surprised that they wouldn't change their hiring practices to kind of bring people that are more specialized.
And it just boggles my mind, especially when I walk through a Target and my spidey sense kicks in and be like, why would they do this? What is the meaning behind this? This is stupid. Why would they put that there? Why did they buy? I question it all the time. But it's like,
basically, it's pretty much impossible for you to have an enjoyable shopping experience at this point in your career.
It really is.
I need to talk to the store manager.
Yeah, I mean, I've been out of the business now
for a while.
For a little over a year. It was August of last year, and I've been focusing solely on this and comedy for the last year, and it works for me, and it's completely turned my life around, and I love doing what I do now, and I love getting a new sponsor or whatever the case might be.
So you were. I mean, what were you doing, like open mics and stuff, and moving along in the regional scene? Or, I mean, what's the comedy journey?
All right, so my story is actually a lot different from a lot of other people's.
Okay.
So 22 years ago, I started in entertainment by being a musician and a touring guitarist, a session guitarist, and stuff like that.
Wow.
And I spent about 4 or 5 years doing that, as well as working, regular jobs, because this wasn't paying the bills. Right. But after a few years, I realized that the scene. I was in Orlando at the time, like I said earlier, and the scene just kind of sucked. So I had two childhood dreams as a kid. One was to be a musician. The other one was to be a professional wrestler.
Wow.
So, I was always a martial artist. I was a wrestler in high school. So I'm like, I'm going to go pursue this other dream, because I think I have a real shot at doing this. So I ended up wrestling for 12 years after that, all throughout the Southeast. I even did a couple things with a couple bigger companies and stuff like that. And then I broke my neck in 2013.
Wow.
And in a car accident, believe it or not. And I came back and I wrestled a couple times. And my wife was like, I can't watch you do this. You need to stop. My doctor said I was completely fine, but my wife was like, it's too much of a risk. So that's fine. So I stopped. However, the need for entertainment was still in my blood. And, I knew crowd control from being on stage as a wrestler and as a musician. And, I was just a quirky, funny guy. So I'm like, what? I'm going to give comedy a shot. So I spent about 3 years just doing nothing but writing. Wow. Writing. And then last year, I decided I'm going to start doing some open mics. And I started doing some open mics and started doing some things here and there. And then COVID hit. And I was like, right before then, I was when I started the show. And I was like, what? If I can't go do comedy, I'm going to make this show the best damn thing ever. And so that's pretty much all I've done is this. And, I'm still writing and I'm still wanting to go back out there. But it's like, I love what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
This is everything. I mean, I get to talk to really cool people. I get to promote really cool products. I get to, talk to, and, network with people I never even imagined I would ever meet. And it's the life that I've always wanted without even realizing this is what I wanted.
That's awesome, man. That's really cool. I think, I think comedy is one of those things where it's such a difficult path. And I think it's so rewarding in every single phase of that path. So I'm not a comedian. I obviously have the job that I have, but I love comedy. So I've done a bunch of open mics, love going up, love working through material. And in fact, when I'm on the road, I'll go wherever I'm at, go into the local open mic and usually bomb. But I give it my all. And I find that the day after you bomb, you kind of are just like, well, nothing's going to be as bad as that. So bring it on, big meeting. What, you're going to reject me? That's okay. I was up in front of 100 people all shouting at me, and I've actually even encouraged the staff here, think of funny thoughts, explore those funny thoughts, go up, tell the story. Don't worry. Maybe they'll like you. Maybe they won't like you. And, that's okay. One of the weirdest, the most recent experience, I was in Scottsdale, Arizona. We're doing a big promotion for Nordstrom. And I'm like, all right, I know that's happening. I'm with the coworker. We're having some fun, and we decide, well, let's go to the open mic and we'll go up and get up on stage. And I knew I was in trouble because I'm following a guy dressed as a wizard who was a local, so we had fans in the audience, and they put me like almost at the end of the bill, like it was like, after the peak and people start sort of trickling out. So I was like, okay, I know that I'm in trouble, and I get up and I do the jokes that I had thought of the day before, and like in the gym in Scottsdale, which we're all like, kind of hacky but kind of fun observations, whatever they were. Fight breaks out. These two girls get into a fight in the audience, and there's like show cans. Like no one can, I'm up there. I'm trying to talk over them. There's no security because it's just an open mic thing. And then one of the girls leaves, and she's like yelling at the other person. And I can't like compete with that with the thing. So I leave, and I was like pretty dejected. And then someone comes up and they're like, "Man, you were doing pretty good until that fight broke out." And I was like, "That's open micing. That's okay. That's all I needed. Just one person to be like, yeah, this is okay." It was such a great experience, and I love that. And I'm always curious and a little jealous of people that have made the leap to start pursuing comedy on a more serious basis. And I think that's really cool what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not out there doing anything right now, obviously, because I mean this show consumes every minute of every day for me. It does. I mean, I usually start my day about noon.
Okay.
And then it goes until about 2:00 every morning.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as we end it here, I got to download it. I got to edit it real quick, throw it up on the podcast site. Then I got to go and, make sure all the hashtags are right. If they're not working, go ahead and switch them around real quick and then do this and then make a quick little edit video if I choose so, and then do this and then start looking up guests for the next week and then follow. It's just a constant rigmarole. Yeah. And then making sure I post, on Instagram or Twitter at the right times, making sure that I'm looking at every single hashtag that's trending and not using those and using ones that are, instead of using ones that are 500,000 or 1 million, hits that day, hitting ones that are 20,000 or 25,000, because that's where you get your money. And that's what a lot of people think, oh, this is trending right now, I'm going to go ahead and post with this hashtag. No, you're going to get overlooked. Right. And it's one of those things that's just like a constant, I constantly test, different posts and see what works. If it's a video, it always gets more hits than a picture. If it's more than a minute, and 1 second, one of the things that people don't understand about, especially for wannabe influencers or people who actually want to be an influencer, if you don't have 10,000 people or more on your Instagram, you cannot use a swipe up function in your story. However, if you make a video that's 1 minute and 1 second long and post to IGTV, which is still on Instagram, you can put a link in that description and it will be a clickable link. So using those when you don't have the option of swiping up is always the option, but I don't see anybody doing that. And it's like, that's just genius. I put out one earlier today for a brand and the click rate on it is ridiculous. It's like, okay, cool. And it's just one of those things, and I love the analytical side. So I've taken my finance side and I've turned it into, an analytical. It's still numbers. It's all that same stuff, but it's for hits and clicks and, engagement and reach and I love it. Love it.
Yeah. And Instagram is such a beast because it's always changing. There's so much competition out there. They, are always changing the algorithm. You hear a lot of people talking about the algorithm. To me anyway, feels like it's harder and harder to get discovered outside of your network unless you're paying the dollars to advertise, to get sponsored posts out there. But even that, sponsored posts don't really get the engagement that you want them to. They're not really worth it. Don't overcharge me, Instagram. We still love you, but it's really, I think it's a very difficult, it's a very difficult course to play because it is always changing. So have you, over the last year when you've been building this out, like how have you contended with the changing algorithm? Or is it just kind of developing niche strategies on like a one-off basis?
It's not so much a one-off basis, it's a multiple day-to-day basis. Wow. So like if I notice a dip in, followers. Mm-hmm. So like this week I'm down 0.7. So tonight, I look at it usually on every Wednesday. I don't know why I chose Wednesday, but Wednesday's the day I usually look at it. And I can go in there, I can look at every single post and see what the engagement is. And I can see where, okay, so on this day I posted this. This is the day I had the biggest dip. Okay, this is the hashtags I used. This is what I had that day. And kind of start putting two and two together and then say, okay, never do this again. Now I'm going to go ahead and repost this with different hashtags, maybe a different picture, maybe a video this time, and just constantly rotating in things in and out. So the algorithm is constantly changing. You can beat the algorithm if you're constantly looking at it. No, I just constantly look at what my posts are doing versus what other people's posts are doing. And I constantly looking at what's trending and looking at what's in my genre, whether it be comedy, whether it be podcast, whether it be, today, I used beauty hashtags for this, thing, and it worked out really well. So it's like, adjusting it. If you have, some people have canned hashtags that they just post on everything, every single post, you're going to get shadow banned for that.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
Because if you use the same hashtag over and over and over again, you're going to get shadow banned. And then people will go, what's being shadow banned? Oh, you don't know what shadow banning is. Right. And then it's like, okay, but how do you avoid that? And there's so much goes into it. And like I said, I just analyze every little thing, and it's just it's so much fun.
Well, and I think you're right. I think that you really have to do more than just be so tied into the algorithm that it takes away from the personality of the page, of the person. I think you have to look at ways of maximizing what you're doing. Like, today's a beauty day, so we're talking about beauty, and we can dive a little deeper into that if that's where we think we should go. But I love how dedicated the beauty audience is, and that's been very liberating for us because, in a sense, there's so much love for the Luxie brand and our Luxie family that we get a lot of privileges to really be our authentic selves. And I think that's kind of where you create that magical combination to actually go viral and to really bring people to the brand. And that's been pretty exciting for us. We've had a few of those moments. Do you ever see that on your side?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've seen interviews that I've posted because everything I do is live, with the exceptional thing here and there. But I'll see interviews that I don't expect to have huge amount of engagement for video. Now my podcast engagement is usually right around 30,000 per day, so about 600,000 per month. But my YouTube and my Periscope and my Facebook Watch feeds vary. I get more hits off of Facebook Watch and Facebook Live than I do off of YouTube and Periscope. And then my YouTube views is about equal to my Periscope views, but sometimes, if the person I have is verified or has a huge following on Twitter, and I make sure I tag them, like I tagged Luxie in this on Twitter in Periscope for Twitter, now it's going to be attached to Luxie, therefore I know where it's going to get the most views. So I bet you $1 at the end of the day, I'm going to go to Twitter and I'll see that this video has way more views than it does on YouTube. And I'm able to track it that way and really figure it out why. And the truth of the matter is, I love going live, and I love being able to have people comment live and watch our faces and the laughs that we have and stuff like that. But the truth of the matter is, this format is not made for YouTube.
Right.
It's not, because I do hour-long plus long interviews, and the average YouTube watcher is on phone and watches for videos that are less than 5 to 10 minutes, and then they move on. Yeah. So this format is not the greatest for that.
Yeah.
So I cater everything to the podcast, but at the same time I still give them the viewer at home something to watch. That's why I have that really nice long intro with the music video from the band that I promote every day, and I do my little quirky little countdown and all this other stuff, and it's all incorporated together. And I have the really cool overlays, and I have the rotating animated background right now. I do all this stuff for that, but at the same time the content is made for the podcaster.
Yeah, it's really cool. What about TikTok? So has TikTok kind of come into your world yet? Are you looking at that?
I don't particularly like using TikTok.
Why is that?
For me and what I do, as far as now, if I was just going to go on there to promote my comedy, be a completely different story. But right now I'm not doing that. I'm focused strictly on this. So, doing that on TikTok again is not the right format for it. Now, if I'm going to go on there, specifically to promote something or to, highlight something, or again to just do jokes and, start selling a tour that I might be doing, might be a little bit different.
Yeah.
Because I don't use, cause like if someone like me who's in my, almost 40 years old, and my demographic is, 25 to 45, right in there is what makes up 65% of my audience.
Right.
If I'm not going on the TikTok for, anything other than I go on there strictly just for cosplay.
Right.
Which again, falls into the beauty side, but I go on there just to watch cosplay because I think cosplay is cool as shit, and to see what they do. I don't go on there for anything else. So I don't use it for anything else other than that. So I'm not really a big TikTok guy.
It's really interesting. I mean, I'm not like a big social media person, just kind of in and of that. Like the industry is sort of built around it. So it's been so fun learning about all these different platforms. So like TikTok to me is like amazing because people that are virtually unknown amass these giant followings so quickly. And it's not a chronological algorithm. So it lets people discover things really easily when you start putting videos out there. And we've seen some people that are like kind of like marginally famous, barely to the swipe up level, that have 400,000 or 500,000 followers on TikTok. And we're blown away by that because we're like, that totally went under our radar. Like, we're not even seeing that on Instagram. How are these people getting so big? And then Instagram, you know, for all the issues and sort of strife that Instagram can cause, and changes in the algorithm, and as much as people kind of complain about that platform, it still is such a great platform. It still lets people engage in so many different ways, and I think people really feel like they're building a relationship with the people that they follow, and I think that's so cool.
I mean, I know. You know, I know everybody that, you know, if I post something, I know within the first 15 minutes of exactly who's going to like my post. You know, I on my Instagram. For me, Instagram is number 1, Facebook is number 2, and then Twitter is number 3. For me, because I get more interactions on my Periscope, you know, videos than I do actually my tweets, which is fine because it's completely polar opposite. People actually watch my videos on Twitter, but they don't. Yeah, it doesn't matter. But it's all about knowing what that audience is and knowing where to go. And Instagram might be confusing, but if once you've cracked it and you're knowing exactly when to look, and now you have to take time and, you know, spend an hour or two looking at every single bit of data. And then know where to go and where to look and find out why this, you know, hashtag doesn't work, but this one does. And, oh, I've used this 5 times this week. Don't use that anymore. Right. You know, so on and so forth. It's just one of those things you just constantly have to look at. And, you know, that's why, you know, I've grown from, you know, 1,000 listens per day barely back in May to now 30,000 in, you know, in now going into October 1st.
Wow.
You know, yeah, thank you. So, I mean, from going from barely, you know, 20,000 listens a month to 600,000 in 4 months, 5 months is unreal, and it's all because of the way I do things. And you know, it's pretty fun. I love watching those numbers come in.
Yeah, that must feel really good to kind of see those successes. We recently had our Instagram account verified, which was absolutely amazing for us. Shout out to our amazing social media team and our agency and PR groups that have made this happen. LAFM, P2R, they've just been incredible, and it really felt like I did something when I saw the blue hashtag, even though I had nothing to do with pretty much the entire thing. But it was like, you know, you talk about that intimate feeling of like, you know, when you see those numbers come back or whatever, and it just was like, look what we did. I don't know. I mean, that's the whole problem with social media, right? It gives you that false sense of dopamine that you're actually doing something that's not, and whatever. I felt so dumb to fall victim to that, but at the same time, it felt like it was such a pivotal moment for the brand.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, once you get to that point, it's pretty cool. I just haven't applied for a Instagram check mark yet. I mean, I don't see the point of it right now. Once I get bigger, then yes, but nobody's out there trying to copy me right now, so I'm not too worried about it. Once I start seeing fake accounts, and I'm like, okay, yeah, now it's time. But until then, it's like what I'm doing is working, so I'm just gonna kind of let it ride. But again, it is though, you know, it is satisfying. Because again, it kind of gives you that feeling of, you know, what you're doing is working. There is an engagement piece in there, and there's no way that you know, that high can't be, you know, good, because again, you're doing something that people are connecting with, and especially when you see across, you know, 90% of my listeners and viewers come from America, but I've got like 3% in Canada, 3% in, you know, Ireland and Australia, and it's like, okay, I have 3% of my people. That's a good chunk of, you know, the people. It's like, okay, that's 9,000 people. That's pretty freaking good.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Wow, that's really cool. I mean, and it shows how global this could be. Like if you keep building this and it keeps growing the way that you are, even if the percentages don't change, it's a pretty significant group in the UK, in Canada, in Australia, and you know, I mean, who knows? Maybe when this whole thing, you know, the COVID restrictions can ease off and you're back out there doing comedy, this could, you know, I'm sure people would love to see a live podcast. Sometimes that's cool. Bring this format the live interaction in front of people and let them see it firsthand. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've completely fell in love with this platform and, doing this. I want to do nothing more in the world. Especially, when it comes to helping brands, helping bands, helping small actors and actresses, or, helping small artists, grow a platform. That right there is priceless to me. Because I'm all about helping everybody else. For example, when your email came through from the PR people, for have you on the show, I'm like, most people will be like, hey, wait a second, okay, it's a makeup guy, a CEO of a makeup guy. I'm a comedian. I tell jokes. I talk about mental health a lot. I make dirty jokes sometimes. I go off about political shit. What the hell am I going to talk to a beauty guy about for an hour? But that's not me. I don't say that. It's like, okay, cool. I get to talk to somebody completely different that I normally don't get to talk to for an hour. What can we talk about? And then the first thing that goes to my mind is, okay, you know what? Retail. Retail, talk to them about retail. Oh, finance, talk to them about finance. That's it. And that's my whole research is in my brain, not like, oh, let's go ahead and look on the internet and see what I can talk to them about today. No, talking about what you're passionate about, talking about this. And it's now been an hour and we can still continue to go.
I know.
And that's how I view things. Everybody has a story to tell, and it's my job to be the megaphone to tell your story.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that you're coming at it with an authentic voice. I mean, we do a lot of stuff in the press, and whenever somebody's just like, oh, well, let me just Google this or do that, it's like we can get into slotting fees. I can ask a question. I see your eyes light up when you talk about, understanding retail finance and what that means and how it affects. And it's a valuable conversation, and it's like, I think that it's so few and far between that there are podcasts that actually dig into authentic conversations. Like you didn't prep for this. I didn't prep for this. We're just talking. Sometimes it's kind of scary because I'm such a makeup junkie and beauty enthusiast that's totally living outside of the stereotypical mold of what that means, in this day and age, because I also go to the gym every day at 5:30 a.m. and put on my boxing gloves and beat the heck out of whoever's standing across from me. And sometimes I get beat up too. So that's not your typical beauty guy. And I love it because I love using my body. I love feeling good. I love getting to the gym. I love all of that. And it's fun to just being able to talk about it, and being able to just kind of chat. So.
Yeah. Well, especially because when I was, just making the YouTube description for this video, I had to do a little bit of research to make sure I put the proper things in the details of the description. I Googled your name with Luxie, Beauty, and obviously Luxie came up, and then your Instagram came up, and your LinkedIn came up, but then 5 different news articles that you did from different magazines came up, and I looked at every single one of them, and they were all the exact same questions and the exact same answers. That's why do a 6th one exactly like that?
Right.
If you go read the article that's posted online already, I'm not going to talk to you about that kind of stuff.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think that's great. It's weird to live in a day and age where not doing your homework is actually better than doing your homework, because you get more of a real connection where you can ask the tough questions, ask the easy questions, ask whatever. I mean, it's something where, I don't know, it's really nice. So I think it's great, this platform. I think it's also great that you're using this platform to help people like us, like our brand, that we can get this kind of support and maybe reach some new listeners. And I think one of the things is as we build our global community, I'm the perfect example of somebody who can be a makeup fan and a makeup enthusiast, and I don't wear makeup, and I'm not your typical person, but I've learned how to appreciate it in my position as CEO of this company, which has been pretty weird. It's been a weird journey. I had to take makeup classes to actually learn how to do all this,
of course, yeah.
Contouring, highlighting, all of that stuff, and it's that's kind of not a normal thing. People looked at, I'll go to I go to the place to learn, and it's at a strip mall, and it's this makeup school, and they're just like, "Are you waiting for someone?" I'm like, "No, I'm a student." And they're like, "What?"
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, because the thing about it is, yes, Luxie's cool. Yes, it's all vegan. Yes, it's innovative, and there's cool things going on behind it. It's about giving back. There's tons of cool stuff going on. You guys give back to charity and so on and so forth. But that's all great. But we've heard that same song and dance before,
Right.
and obviously we can, But what else is there to it? Most of the time, you can look at a CEO of a company and go like, okay, that's a cool ass CEO who does a really cool fucking job. Like, look at Elon Musk. I want to buy his cars just because he's a badass.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, it's a highlight of you when I bring you on. Yeah, we can talk about your brand all day long, but who are you? Because you're the brains and the brawn of it all. You're the one who's smart enough to say, wait a second, I don't know shit about makeup. Let me hire somebody who does, and let's figure this out together as a team. And that's what people want to know about, not the same things they can find out online.
Well, and it's interesting too because it's weird how transparent you have to be in this day and age, because people smell bullshit a mile away. And I knew I had to do two things. I had to legit know beauty, and I had to legit love beauty. And that's what brought me into this role. When I started at Luxie, before I became CEO, I was more of a finance guy, kind of helping the founder, Tammy, who was developing the product. And I fell in love with beauty. And then I got invited on board, and then it was like, oh shit, now I got to know. Let's talk contour. Let's talk highlighting. Let's talk about our looks. Let's talk about blending. Let's talk about all that, and then diving more on the skincare side and the makeup side, which is pretty fucking high level. Like that's into a different realm. Like I got the tools covered, and I've got product that I like and product that I don't like. But I'm so impressed by the artistry, and like you see it like. When you're checking out the cosplay and some of the stuff that people are doing to like create these characters, or like crazy faces that look like Offset because of the shadowing, it's
God.
So nuts. I'm like, they're using brushes and makeup that you can buy at the local store to do that. Like that is such crazy artistry. And like the fact that we can help them by making those tools that give those professional looks, holy shit, that's so cool.
Absolutely. And you mentioned something earlier in the conversation that kind of sparked my interest, because not a lot of people think like this, and I do. When it comes to makeup and the situation that we have right now, when it comes to the fact that a lot of people are wearing masks.
Yeah.
When I look at a woman, I am one of the odd ones that doesn't look at their chest, doesn't look at their ass first. The first thing I notice about any woman ever is their eyes.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I have an obsession with eyes, because like they can pop in ways that make you go, holy shit, that woman is gorgeous. I mean, being hot and gorgeous comes down to eyes for me. And so like when you're saying that now, it's like, okay, great, they can be covered up in a mask, because the thing about it is their lips and their shading on their cheeks and everything like that doesn't matter to me. How do those eyes look? Yeah. And it's the coloring of the eyes, the way they make their eyeshadow match their eye color in order to make a pop and stuff like that. That right there is real beauty. And I mean, you're saying it can be a bad thing, but from like my perspective, it's all about the eyes. So let them wear a mask.
I think you're right. I think that as much as the mask may be bad for the makeup market, I mean, no one's buying lip gloss and contouring and whatnot changes. The eyes really do have it. And right now, I mean, they kind of bring in a few other things. Hashtag Euphoria, which is one of the biggest trending movies, has totally changed our industry. Or not movies, HBO shows. It's brought in these wild orange eyeshadows, blue smoked out eyes, crystal embellishments, all this cool, crazy stuff. And it's so weird that program, which started last year and continues into this year with Zendaya winning big at the Emmys.
Yeah, it was a good show.
It's so weird that is happening while this mask situation is going on. because it's like there's the playbook. And like you said, eyes are so breathtaking because they really do express. I mean, they are the windows to the soul. They do express your inner kind of like your inner thoughts, and we're so tuned to understand whether somebody's telling the truth or whether somebody's bullshitting by how their eyes look, where they look, what they're doing, and that can be augmented in such a pivotal way with the right look and the right makeup, and it really allows people to change their whole personality with different eye looks. It's amazing. And like, I think that the role of makeup will become more and more sort of powerful as less and less of people are exposed. I mean, we're going into winter time, right? So the coats are coming out, the masks are staying on, scarves, hats, ear muffs, the whole 9 yards. And we're going to be kind of in that area where now we have to kind of look at people and understand their eyes and what they're trying to say. And eyes make such an impact. It's such a great way of self-expression. And I don't know. I mean, I obviously can go on about eye looks all day.
Yeah, so could I.
Oh man.
Yeah,
it's a great show. I don't know about those eye looks.
Yeah, like I said, I'm an eye guy. I really am. Yeah, so the mask thing don't bother me right now. If I see a girl with beautiful eyes, I'm staring. Yeah. Then I'm getting punched in the face by my wife, but damn it, I'm staring. It's okay, she's not here right now. She can't listen. But so I'm kind of curious. So we haven't talked about this yet. Uh-huh. You went from, tech and finance to this. How the hell did that happen?
Well, I'm really not good at tech. So that was, I think that the right industry does eventually find you eventually. And my tech days and working as an investor and as part of investment funds into tech, I picked all the wrong stuff. I was the guy that passed on Uber. I just didn't understand how quickly technology was changing things, and it all seemed like bullshit to me. You can't see it, you can't touch it. It's just it was such a difficult way to make an assessment. And I'm not an engineer, so I didn't really understand any of the stuff on the back end. And so I found myself going into things where can you really, is it a real thing? And I've kind of found my niche with manufacturing and transportation because trains make sense, unless the laws of physics change, everything kind of makes sense there. And after doing that for some time, I took away from the business, started hanging out in Mexico, sailing around, doing some traveling, and I knew the only thing that would kind of bring me back would be something that you could see, feel, touch, and really create. And that's what I found in beauty, and that's what started the journey. And beauty as a consumer product, it's like, okay, whatever. There's a lot of consumer products out there, but the power of the transformation is what really got me. And so when you start looking at and it's hard to explain because it sounds so rah and kind of bullshit and whatever. But for me, on a personal level, it really impacted me how you can change somebody's day by just putting some makeup on. How women that are at the local women's shelter that have come through abuse, that have not been kind of in treated the best and now are in such a horrible situation, are the social services are so focused on just here's 3 square meals and a bed and this and that and job interviews and whatnot. We're able to come in and give them makeup brushes and totally change their day, change their month, and really offer them a sense of empowerment. And that's what brought me to the dance. That was the thing. We can really make good happen. And that was and it's not contrived, and it's not for every car you buy, we'll donate this, and this. It's like the products themselves are transformative. And so even someone that is maybe buying our product with no intention of doing anything other than looking good, they're going to wake up one day maybe they're not feeling their best, and they're going to transform themselves, and they will feel good, and they will be able to express themselves, and that's exciting. That's cool. It's cool to be able to do that.
Yeah. I'm all about giving back. I really am. And, that's one of the things that I, was really kind of looking forward to talk to you about, because the giving back thing is, for me, is actually, one of the biggest things, and, when it's time to work with sponsors or, products that I need to promote, it's not just about, okay, yeah, they're going to pay me to, to promote their product. Great. Okay, cool. Why should I?
Right.
I'm a mental health guy. I'm a comedian. I like all these different things, but at the end of the day, if it's not giving back and it's not serving a purpose just to put money in my pocket, what the hell's the point? That's why I work with, BetterHelp, the app for, online therapy.
Yeah.
I'll work with them all day long. I just started working with a hand sanitizer company, that for every bottle they buy, they donate one.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, h21.com, h2one.com. You buy one, they donate one. These are the types of brands I like working with.
Yeah.
Because that's what's important to me. And, it's because, especially when in this day and age, there's more people than ever in homeless shelters. Yep. There's more people than ever that are just needing that extra help and that extra boost. And anything that, these big companies or small companies can do, more power to them. And, if they're out there making a genuine impact, and, I want to work with them.
Yeah. Well, and we're absolutely, I think that for us, the catalyst for doing all of this really comes from wanting to protect the earth, protect the environment, protect some of the animals that live on this earth that are pretty neat. And, that led to our partnership with the World Wildlife Fund and helping them out. And then that's created a lot of great opportunities for us. We're starting to open the door to more charities that we're bringing on, so that we can actually empower our consumers to make different donations through our platform, which we're really excited about. That's coming out in January of next year.
That's awesome.
And it's a very weird time where I think it's difficult for us, as a brand, we're trying to use our platform for what's best. We're trying to create initiatives that are really going to give back. And removing plastic from the waterways is a big deal. That's something that's really near and dear to my heart. Protecting endangered species, and then also protecting these ecosystems that are at risk. That's a huge thing. And lately we've seen more and more of sort of these different kind of issues crop up more domestically, and we don't want to make a judgment on what the best charity is for this or that or whatever. So we've found a platform that will really allow the people that are doing the shopping to guide our donations, and we think that that's going to really do wonders, because it'll allow people not only to purchase a product and express themselves with our product, but also to really lend their voice to what kind of charities make sense right now. So we're excited about that. That's cool.
So speaking of which, so my time, we are approximately 2 hours and 40 minutes away from midnight, which means we are 2 hours and 40 minutes away from October 1st, which is Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Oh, wow.
So, being that obviously your biggest clientele is, females, are you guys doing anything for Breast Cancer Awareness Month?
Absolutely. So we actually partnered way back in 2017 with the American Cancer Society, the American Cancer Association Society. Anyway, the American
One
Cancer,
of the two, yeah.
Yeah. Way back in 2017. So little brain fog. It is almost midnight, but I guess not West Coast. So I don't. Really
not for you, but for me, yeah.
Yeah, but that's something that's really important. So we're going to be profiling different stories that have made an impact on people. We'll probably be doing something to empower certain people that have been touched with cancer. Cancer is one of those things that is so so far reaching, and pretty much everybody at this point has been touched by it in some way. And breast cancer is something that can be avoided with early detection and with self-examination. So that's something that we really want to try to promote this month, and set that up so that our consumer base, the women in our lives, that our friends, family, and community can take that and run with it. So I think it's a great time to remind people, like, hey, stay healthy.
I mean, breast cancer is something that's near and dear to my heart. My grandmother had it. My aunt had it. Last year, my wife and I went through a scare. Right now, my best friend is going through a scare. I got her mammogram next week. She's got, she found something, so it's affected me, multiple different ways. And it's something that I'm very, very passionate about. And, I always promote something on the show, and, that's something I'm going to be pushing hard this month.
Well, so what's something cool that we should do to support this? Because I think one of the things that we're struggling with as a brand that is active in so many charities is we don't want it to feel contrived or corporate-y. We want it to be authentic. So breast cancer is a big deal for me as well. I've lost a lot of loved ones through the family. In fact, cancer in general has taken its toll. Yeah. And it's important to do, but how do we do it so it's cool? How do we do it so it's real?
Okay, so the big one, which I do not support in any which way, shape, or form, and I will constantly demean them to the day I die, is Susan G. Komen. Do not support Susan G. Komen. Because when you have a CEO of a company that's a charity supposed to be going towards breast cancer research, and the CEO makes more money in a year than they donate to funding of cancer research, that's a problem for me.
No way. So what portion of what's donated actually goes to the research?
I'd have to look it up again, but I found it and it was astonishing. Wow. It nearly broke my heart when I saw that. Yeah. Like the CEO makes like $5+ million a year plus bonuses, and they're not even donating that much.
Wow.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But there's like a company out there, and you said what's cool. There is a charity out there called Rock Pink.
Rock Pink.
Rock Pink is a good one. They're all about, they give out more than they take in. I mean, they do a lot of good things for the community. I discovered them a long time ago through they were at a lot of different rock concerts and, just concerts in general, making awareness all year long, not just during October. And, they're all about that support and, that stuff like that. And they just did a lot of cool stuff. And it was the cool, I don't want to say that, but you know what I'm saying? It was that one that was really stand out because they cared and they did stuff that other companies weren't doing by getting into concerts and, festivals and this and that and this and that and really promoting something that really needed to be promoting. So I suggest, Rock Pink.
That's cool. Okay, Rock Pink, that's yours. I like the rock and roll thing. I like that they've kind of been out there. I like that it's the music scene. I think, the biggest thing for me will probably be just us. What if we just share sort of the intimate stories of people that have been impacted by breast cancer throughout the month?
That's another one. Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. And if you want a real powerhouse of an influencer / real powerhouse of a community raiser, you've got me on your side.
There you go. All right, Derek, you're my guy. We'll make this happen. But I think this is cool because it's like, it's one thing to say, yeah, we've identified this as an event in our marketing calendar, but it's another thing to say, like, okay, how can we get behind this? Like, this is going to be a big thing.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, and that's the thing. Is the identifier. It's not using it as a marketing campaign, which so many fucking companies do, and using it as actual awareness. Yeah. Because when I had to deal with my aunt getting a double mastectomy or my grandmother doing the same thing, or was it 2 years ago when my aunt got the double mastectomy? My whole entire family on my mom's side went and got tested to make sure they didn't have that gene. That right there, waiting for my daughter's results of an 18-year-old or 17 or 16 years old at the time, waiting for the results of that gene, blood test was crazy for me. And luckily she doesn't have it.
Hold on, this is a dumb question. There's a gene that predetermines the probability of breast cancer?
It's a higher probability. So you can still get breast cancer other ways, but there's actually a gene, I think it's called the BRCA gene, that will, basically, that can say whether or not you're going to have, you're going to get it or not. Now, again, there's other things as well. So even if you don't have that gene, then you could still get it, but it's a higher likelihood of you having it if you have that gene.
Wow. How much higher? Is it like twice as likely, or is it like...
Do you know, babe? What's the percentage of people that have it that have a higher chance of getting it? Do you know what the percentage is? No, we don't know. I have to look it up. Let me see. I'm kind of curious now because I didn't know. Breast cancer gene. All right, so it's a mutated gene that you cannot change. Let's see here. I'm on the American Cancer Society website right now. It says... So if you have that gene, you have a 7 in 10 chance of getting it, 70% chance of getting it.
Wow, that's pretty significant.
That's a huge significance.
Yeah, that's... Wow. That's crazy. That's interesting. Now, do they recommend broad testing for everybody? Or is it just if there's a family history?
If there's a family history, then they do suggest getting it done, yeah.
Wow. Man. That's interesting. I think I'd want to get it. I think I'd want to get that DNA test
and the thing about it is it's not just women, too. Men can get it, too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, men can have that gene and still have that 70% chance of getting it. So, I mean, it's not just, it's not just for women.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a scary thing.
Yeah. Well, I think, how impacted families are by so many people being exposed to this, and the environmental conditions that kind of predispose you to any kind of cancer are just getting more and more ridiculous. So yeah, that's really interesting. Wow. Huh. Yeah. I'm learning, man.
I told you, I'm your guy.
Yeah. Oh my God! Hey, it's 6:30 on this end. I gotta jump. But
no, that's fine. I was getting ready to close it out anyway because I usually go until 9:30 anyway. So, dude, it's been a pleasure talking to you, man. I really do appreciate it. And I definitely would love to talk to you more. Reach out, or I'll reach out to you, and we can talk some more because I would love to be able to do something with you because I think awareness for all the different charities that you do needs to be spread, and I would love to be able to help spread that for you.
Let's make it happen. Cool.
Absolutely, man. Right. You have a great rest of your day, and hope to talk soon.
You too. Thanks, Derek. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Connor. Have a good one. Bye-bye. All right, that was Conor Riley of Luxie Beauty. Very, very interesting conversation. We talked everything from beauty products to retail and innovations and tech and finance and influence and everything else like that. That's the type of shit I like to do on this show. Keep it fucking fresh. Yes, I love talking to musicians. Yes, I love talking to actresses and actors. But you know what? Talking other shit like that is what I do too. So you know what? Always keep it fresh in here because I want to make sure you guys have a reason to listen. You don't want to listen to the same fucking interview day in and day out, do you? No, hell, fuck no. So that's what I do. I'll bring you the freshness of the freshness because I am the prince of all that is awesome. Have a wonderful fucking hump day. Go hump some fucking brains out. Go do what you gotta fucking do because it's hump day and that's what it's all about. It's hump, 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 hump. But anyway, I love you guys. Stay happy, stay healthy, and as always, stay fucking heavy. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.